Excited. Let's go. Come on. Let's get down. All right. We made it.
Cool.
We made it. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another 5K tennis family discussion. What's going on? Hopefully everybody is well. If this video just suddenly cuts out, please, sorry in advance. We will start a part two. We have bad weather here again in Dauphin Island, Alabama. It has rained since Tuesday. So we've been able to do these kind of daily shows, and we've had fun doing it, but I'm definitely ready to get back on the courts, correct?
Same here.
And see if you can get it streaming and make sure you're off the house.
I am.
Okay, so a couple of things we're going to talk about today and more. Number one, we are going to talk about Novak Djokovic getting his big-time watch deal. Why are we going to talk about this? Because we've talked about players such as Nadal and Federer playing at Wimbledon and wearing $1 million Rolexes, and I forget the watch that Nadal is sponsored by, but they're $1 million a pop. And Djokovic always had kind of a Citizen deal or a Seiko deal, kind of run-of-the-mill watches, but Djokovic got his Hublot deal, and we're going to talk about that. Number two, we're going to start this show actually with this. We tried to go to bed last night. Are we lagging?
There you go.
We're lagging?
No, you're fine.
We'll check the top corner. Let us know if we're lagging or anything on the video before we get going. We good?
And I'm on my
Maybe not.
I'm on my
yeah. Is someone let us know in the chat? Are we lagging, and how is the quality? Because I would rather address that now than when we get into the debate. Let us know what the quality is. But we're gonna start with this segment called "What Would You Do?" Okay, and this involves something off the tennis court. So Carla and I think we slept for about 4 hours last night, give or take, uninterrupted.
Interrupted, you mean?
Yeah, interrupted. Yeah, 4 hours interrupted. So Carla and I, and our 4 kids, we have 5 kids. One of them is in college in Colorado. Mm-hmm. But we live in a duplex, so there are people next door, but they're not neighbors that are next door. They're just workers, right, that are working on our house. Needless to say, they're behind schedule, and we were kept up by banging, and it was miserable until 12 at night. I think we fell asleep, woke up. In other words, they worked all night. What?
They worked all night. You could hear them moving stuff at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning.
So what do you do in this situation? How do you address it when
I don't know. I did send him a message. I sent him a screenshot. The guy next door, he said, "You're not my boss." And he said, the owner said, "If you don't like it, you can move out for now."
Interesting.
That was the message I got. I forwarded to the owner. Of course, he was too babyish to answer the question. He ran around the question. He said they shouldn't have worked that late. And I said, well, they stayed up. I said, no human being stays up all night working. They're obviously on some type of drug or something.
Yeah, you can't work.
Nobody works 24 hours like that. You're taking something to stay up.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Anyway, what would you do? A conundrum, needless to say. Okay, another thing we're going to talk about is Serena Williams and Sharapova and their longtime feud that has been washed away long ago. It's now back in the media. So Carla and I are going to kind of throw those news sources out as, come on, man. Anyway, we're going to talk about Emma Raducanu, and already those talking about she will be a billionaire on this current trajectory, and a lot more. But let's go ahead and start with Novak Djokovic getting his Hublot watch deal, okay?
Well, I remember you giving a lot of grief to Nadal for wearing a very expensive watch. Are you going to give the same type of grief to Djokovic?
No, I didn't give grief to Federer and Nadal for being ambassadors or being sponsored by the watch. I gave them grief for wearing $1 million watches to play tennis in. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, why is it necessary? I wasn't knocking them as a person. And I was more along the lines at that point in time when we did that show. I think I'll have to go back and look, but I think Novak Djokovic had 16 or 17 majors at that time. And he still didn't have a huge watch deal when Federer and Nadal both had huge watch deals over a decade ago. Anyway, that's why. But anyway, back to what you're saying.
No, that's all I was saying. I remember you did a whole show about it's there. Michael Walker says the Richard Miles watch, and Nadal's been wearing a watch for a very long time. And I remember you did a whole show about, there's many people dying of starvation, and
Yes.
you're going to wear a watch like that.
I do agree.
Who's
I still agree with
be able
it.
to afford a watch like that?
I still agree with
and
that.
we were just telling you, well, it's a sponsor.
I still agree with that.
So
the point where I'm going is why is it just now when he finally shows emotion at the U.S. Open? At least that was empathizable, right? So he gets the watch deal. In other words, what I'm getting at is he has been just as good or better than Federer and Nadal for a very long time. And then just now he gets that big time.
How do you know he didn't take it before and now took it?
Well, okay. Here is the message that Ricardo Guadalupe put out from Hublot. Quote, "We are particularly honored to have the great Novak Djokovic join our beautiful Hublot family. He is a player who makes tennis history by being unique, first and different, which is exactly our motto. It's a great day for Hublot." Novak Djokovic also quoted in the same article, quote from Novak, "As an athlete driven by the ambition to make history in tennis, I am particularly proud of the opportunity to join the Hublot family, which already boasts athletes who have left their mark on their respective disciplines by becoming legends like Pele or Usain Bolt. With Hublot, we still have so much to win together." Novak Djokovic, right? So well said. But again, my point of this is it just one of those extra things to show you that it's always been Novak in second place till seemingly that loss at the U.S. Open. Now he seems to be more lovable.
We could say the same thing about why is Emma getting all the sponsors and there's women that won Grand Slams before. I mean, you can look at it that way. I just think it's a sponsor thing. I don't look at Djokovic different if he's wearing $1 million watch or not, or however much it costs, or Nadal. Or I say good for them. They got the sponsorship. They attracted that sponsorship. That's what it's all about. Raking the money, baby.
I agree. Again, I'm not knocking the thing. Good for him. Good for anyone that lands that type of luxury line of sponsorship. But this just came now, and I guess I'm trying to just prove the point in which this could have happened a very long time ago.
Michael Walker says Novak Djokovic has several watch deals. This is his third deal.
Yeah, I think he's Citizen and Seiko too. I think Hublot could take both of those combined and still hit them.
Maybe he was looking for the right brand.
Yeah, maybe.
Right brand to believe in, and maybe he believes in this brand, and that's why he went with it finally. I don't know.
All right, shifting gears, the Serena Williams and Venus Williams and Maria Sharapova picture from the Met Gala. We showed that. No big deal, right? We just showed it and said this is a great picture and moved forward. But since that day, one of the worst places to get sports news from is Yahoo Sports because they spam the title. It's like this awful blah, blah, blah. And then you read it. You click, you see the title and you click on it. What do they call it? Clickbait. You click on it and you read it. And it's like, let's say hypothetically, Novak Djokovic does bizarre, disgusting move at the U.S. Open or whatever. I'm just making something up. And then the only thing it was is maybe he got his towel and wiped off some sweat. In other words, it makes no sense, their titles. But a lot more than Yahoo Sports had that same pitch, right? I can't believe that two people that never said they would like each other are taking pictures together, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to turn this one over to Carla because she knows this well. How did the feud begin, first of all, and with who and why?
Well, we've heard about the feud with Serena and Sharapova and Dimitrov. We remember back then when they were at a conference, I remember Sharapova saying, well, at least I'm not with a married man. She was talking about Patrick Montaglu. To me, though, when I watched Venus on Twitter or wherever they did an interview for her, she had questions from the fans. She said that her and Serena were talking about Maria Sharapova, how she should come back on the tour and play. And then they saw her at the Met Gala and they said, oh, my God, we were just both Serena and I talking about you, how you should come back to the tour. And she said, we might have been competitors, but we have love and respect for each other off the court.
Right. But what made that? There was one point when Sharapova was much younger where she said something along the lines of, I will never be friends with her. Why was it so?
When Sharapova beat Serena when she was a young girl, I think she was like 17 years old or something. I think she wrote in her book how Serena said that bitch will never beat me again, know? And I guess the feud, you got to remember they're competitors. Competitors are not supposed to like each other. This is why I'm talking about. I just never understood some of our students being friendly with each other. If you want to win, that's how you have to be. Sharapova was known to be in the locker room as serious. She didn't really mingle with anybody. She was out there to play. And when she went in the locker room, she went her own way. She had her own life, you know?
Right.
I mean, that doesn't make you a bad person. You just mean business. That's how it is for you. It's competition.
Exactly. A good comment by fans 2497. They say Venus has never really been problematic, though, has she? No, Venus is one of my top 5 favorite tennis players. My own personal. Venus is a very important part, in my opinion, of my tennis history. When I talk to kids or explaining great champions to them, Venus is always there, especially for her dominance at Wimbledon. But yeah, I just
obviously they squashed it. They're older. They're retired. One is retired, and the other 2 will retire eventually.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. There's no point. They're not competing.
Now you mentioned Serena was indicating to Sharapova maybe she should think about returning to tour. Number one, how old is Sharapova now? 34, 35. And number two, I have seen numerous pictures of her over the years. She looks great, but she doesn't have the tennis. She has a very long body. She doesn't have the muscle structure that she used to have. She looks thinner and should. She's not playing. She's a businesswoman and a very lucrative one at that. I know I see her chocolate bars. What is it called? Share a chocolate or share something. But nonetheless, she has a lot of enterprises that she does, but she has a more elegant build now, and she always was, but she was thicker. So I don't think she would have to spend a lot of time in the gym, I think, to make that viable. And
I don't think she wants to. There's a reason why she decided to retire.
Yeah.
She wasn't winning. She was losing. She wasn't getting, she was getting really tough matches in the first round. She came back after her suspension, and she wasn't the same. She was never the same. And for her, I mean, you've got all the money, all the sponsors in the world. You won a lot of Grand Slams. Why keep playing? Why keep getting beat? That's how I look at it.
So and I think that's a good business model for Roger Federer too. I mean, at 40, still nursing this knee and then 3 knee surgeries. I think that's something that he's going to have to deal with sooner rather than later. And I think we're going to see that transpire next year. I just don't know what the narrative is going to be behind it. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't either. But Kleister's coming back to me. Michael Walker's a bit ridiculous. She's not in shape. I mean, geez, it's going to be tough competing against the young girls that are fit in shape. I mean, look at Serena. We've talked about how much she struggled with her fitness, and she's gotten herself, I thought, in pretty good shape. Kleister's nowhere near Serena's shape, just saying. I mean, she looks really, really, really heavy for professional tennis.
Yeah. One of the issues with someone like Kleister's coming back right now is this. Kleister's what, 34, 35, somewhere in there, maybe a little bit older. So if you saw Kim Clijsters in the audience at the U.S. Open, she has gained a good amount of weight. Now, yes, I know someone like her has outlets to the best nutritionists and physios. One would think she's a mother too. But the problem is when
she's 38,
even
worse,
even tougher. So the problem losing that weight, which I know she can, is the joints. What you go through the training, you have to utilize those joints with that weight on you. And the joints get wear and tear as you're working that weight off. And at 38, trying to get back on the tennis court, aches and pains will pop up. Believe me, I know. I'm 145 pounds right now, 6'1", so I'm relatively thin. But there was a time where I was 235 pounds. And anyway, long story short, I lost that 85 pounds in doing so. And I did so tennis related, not beating the body up too terribly much. And all my joints hurt, especially in the knees, pounding on that weight, taking that weight off. And I don't think Kim Clijsters will be able to overcome that, just like Roger Federer's having that issue now. Correct?
Yeah. Michael Walker asked, she's in shape compared to Taylor Townsend. She's 38.
Good point.
Yes, but she just had a baby. Taylor Townsend just had a baby. So she hasn't even shut off her baby weight. Clijsters is 38. 38. That's tough. The age there alone is going to make it tough. It's hard to lose weight as we get older.
Didn't we see Taylor Townsend in the booth commentating at the U.S. Open? She did a good job, by the way. She would,
and she's 25, so she can get in shape.
Yeah, I always give Chris Evert grief for her, her snooty commentating. I don't want to get into that again, but Taylor Townsend does a really good job. I think she would be a great Chris Evert replacement.
Yeah, she didn't. To me, I think she's a better commentator.
Yeah.
Than a tennis player.
Yeah, I mean,
saying.
Now, since we're on the topic of women's tennis for a minute, and this has to do with tennis, but I think it has to do with life as well, and how much money gets tossed around. And I'm not hating on that, but man, it to me, when you here, let me give you my topic for this segment and tell me where I should go with this. I keep reading that Emma Raducanu is already projected to be a billionaire and the highest paid woman, if not athlete, in the entire world already at what, 18?
Yeah.
So do you consider this a good thing? Do you consider this a bad thing? What do you consider this the same old rise and fall of every other young tennis player on the women's side, especially, or is it, hey, good for you, no problem, life won't change?
Hopefully she continues. Hopefully she continues, winning and being successful and stuff. She's got the sponsors, so great for her. Like I said, if you get those sponsors, keep bringing the money in. You know what I mean? Might as well take advantage of it. Just hopefully she can keep winning and stays hungry and stays polite like she is, classy like she is. I read somewhere that she gave, I guess, her prize money to her parents, which I thought bravo to her.
Smart move.
Yeah.
Well, she probably had to because of her age. It's probably set up.
18, you don't have to give the money to your parents.
It's probably set up in some type of trust fund. He probably doesn't have the knowledge of what to do with it. So someone that age to deal with those type of figures, I would need help. I think we would need help. But here's where I'm going with this. So when I wrote this, what my mind was thinking was this. How many times do we hear when someone wins the lottery, right? They win the lottery and almost within a year or two, they're borderline suicidal. They don't leave their house. They don't want to go anywhere. They're shell shocked and they hate life, right? Sometimes a lot of instant money and projections bring out a lot of bad people coming after you. I'm not meaning her, but we hear about these lottery winners, and next thing you know, there's all these old people coming after them. You owe me this, or hey, give me that, or people are trying to sue you for things that you may have said to them 20 years ago. So people are coming out and trying to attack you. You become a target. Not saying she's a target, but it's the other people on this planet. It's the vindictive human beings that find this way to leech on to people now that they have money. It's a worry that way, right? Mm-hmm. You've heard this prototypical story about the lottery winner that now is no longer on this earth because they couldn't live with the hate and depression they were getting. And that's something that an 18-year-old girl has to deal with unless she has a massive management team that keeps all the negative emails and all the negative social medias posts away from her as to not get wrapped up into it. Right. And that's one of the big downfalls of anybody that is really young and they get a lot of money. Look at NFL football players, NBA basketball players, pro soccer players, that they come in and they get these, 9-figure contracts. And within a couple of years, man, they're broke as hell. They bought, 5 friends, big mansions and cars, and all of a sudden something happens and they're strapped with
I don't
it.
think that'll happen to her. I mean, she's a tennis player. She seems to be very smart. I saw pictures of her dad and stuff. She seems to be well grounded, so I don't think that's going to happen to her. Yeah, hopefully she just stays hungry. That's it. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Hungry and keep winning.
Yeah,
hungry and keep winning. And I'm sure that she's going to have the right people around her to invest the money the right way. So
yeah. You find out that there's a lot more people that you have associations with when you all of a sudden get into that type of income. And it can be really hard for people to deal with. It can be devastating. So hopefully she is ready for that and her family, because it's already happening, I can assure you. Am I right or wrong?
Maybe.
Any comments on that or moving forward?
William Spencer says, so true. Suddenly you get new friends when money arrives. In fact, I was so concerned for her, I decided to email her offering her to be her new accountant.
Exactly. It's well said. That's what I didn't write this as hating on her income. Good for her. Hey, she worked hard her whole life and her parents obviously made that happen. So she made the right decision giving it to her parents, but it's a worry for a young, beautiful girl like that, because she's going to be exploited. The people that are giving her those millions of dollars that she is accepting are going to want something in return. And generally it's a photo shoot, a movie, a book, and all these things wear you down and wear you out and eventually burn you out. Right. And then
that's with everything in life, though. When you're successful at anything, I mean, look at Justine Henin. I remember when she was on the tour and stuff, she met this guy. She married, her first marriage that was failed. The guy wanted money is what he wanted, to come to find out. That's all he cared about. And they got divorced. I think everybody goes through something, that I think even Alexander Zverev had, what was it? I can't remember, his agent, or not his agent, somebody that was trying to get money from him, more money from him, and he was upset about it.
What about Camelia Georgie? Camelia Georgie started winning tournaments, and every old coach in the book started trying to come after them. That cost Camelia Georgie a lot of bad media attention that she really, from what I understand, didn't have a lot to do with it. It was more, deals between dad and others, and that's not on Camelia Georgie. And, people are still attacking her. But this happens every day, every moment in all walks of life. And it's hardest on little girls, 18 years old. I mean, I have a son older than that, but a little 18, 19-year-old girl with already have agreed to $1 billion in sponsorship. So that's why they're projecting the number, because she got hit with so many sponsorships, and they're worth over $1 billion if you combine them over X amount of time. There's articles everywhere about it. Google it. And the problem is Carlos said, number 3, I think, on the list of importance. You'll get her burned out, whatever. But the biggest importance is when people start attacking her parents, and she sees what they're going through, dealing with it. In other words, a lot of the parents' old friends, a lot of the parents, people that they owe money to, or a coach here, they start suing you because they say, oh, well, this was 10 years ago that you owed this to me. There's, inflation on that now. So now you owe me this much, and shit really hits the fan. So I hope they're prepared for that. And I hope that Raducanu doesn't fall victim to it, just like tens of thousands of other young, rich people.
Well, it happened to Osaka. Remember, there were a lot of coaches that came out.
Sorry, babe.
You're fine. That said, they owe us money. They owe us money because we taught her for free, or not for free. We taught her, and part of the deal was that she was going to pay, or her parents. And Osaka said, that's not on me. That was on my dad,
Yeah.
So, I mean, it happens. We see it all the time. People leech on to you when you're most successful. You could see that in any normal person's life, if they're successful in their career. Guys, I mean, even the guys, let's say you drive a nice car or something. You got those leech girls out there, that just want you for your. They just want you for this, I mean, we see a lot of this celebrities. We see the older dudes, 20 years younger. Their girls are 20 years younger. You tell me that girl 20 years younger wants to be with the old grandkey?
Yeah. What about she watches or used to watch this Real Housewives of Atlanta or something? Was it Atlanta or
no? The one in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, there was like this blonde-headed girl, and she was
Erica Jane.
What is she like? Yeah, Erica something. She was like what, 40 years younger?
He was like 30 years older than her or something like that.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, come on, man. Don't tell me that you guys are happy under the sheets and in all aspects of life. No way. I mean, this happens everywhere in life,
I mean, you're going to bed with old, crinkly, saggy balls.
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that, because we all age. But I'm just saying, when you have money, you have to be careful with people. Just saying. I
agree, and there's no stopping it. It's just a matter of time, and it's up to the conditioning of the individual dealing with its mindset, and if they're able to rise up against it. And look, sometimes criminal stuff happens. People coming robbing you, and then when you're not home, they rob your whatever. Life changes when you get rich, and especially when it happens quickly. If you work your life up to it, it's kind of like when you grow. You don't see yourself grow. You just, other people see you grow if they haven't seen you in a year or two. But I don't look at my son every day and say, "Oh, you grew last night." It's just it's an accumulative effect. So most wealthy people that are up in that type of figures, they've kind of grown into it, and their life has evolved that way. But when it goes from an immediate lightning strike, now you're a billionaire or projected to be one very soon. Life changes quickly. William
Spencer says, win big, and soon you'll find you're selling your soul to the devil. Exactly. The devil disguised with shiny watches, free Nikes, and big money deals. Before you know it, the tennis can become sidelined.
Comment of the day so far. Love that comment. That's why we talked about selling your soul the day after that Met Gala thing. That's why we did the segment on that. Not knocking on the idea of it. It's just the way that it's done. We had someone say, oh, well, it raised $1 million in charity. Maybe so, but that $1 million in charity was donated by one of their charities to their buddy's charities. So they both cash out on it, and they get tax exempts to the tens of millions of dollars to doing it. So they're getting richer by donating to one another's charities, and they're wearing $30,000 dresses and $10,000 lipstick to walk in the door, with a table being $275,000 and a meal $30,000, just to have pictures taken of you with something hideous on. And yes, that was for me a really important show, Selling Your Soul.
Michael Walker has something, but he always brings up this comment: childbearing.
Who?
Childbearing hips.
Childbearing hips. Who? Where? People. This is Michael Walker. People marry for different reasons. Look at Donald Trump's wife. Does she love him with his childbearing hips? Yeah, think about that. If you're Ivanka Trump, I mean, are you like all up on that? I mean, are you like? I mean, what are you thinking? I mean, I think now she has to abide by it. So I think she's
childbearing hips.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I can just imagine the childbearing hips.
Yeah. Think about it. Think about it. You know, what do you think? Is Ivanka Trump? Is she pleased? I mean, she's still somewhat young and very attractive, right?
Oh my God.
Interesting scenario. Good comment.
I almost choked on that one. I don't even have childbearing hips.
No, and you have 5.
Oh shit.
Excellent.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. By the way, did anyone hear that in January of next year, beginning at the Australian Open, that the ATP and I don't know about the WTA, I don't know about women's tennis, but I know men's tennis is going to have a complete bathroom policy lined out. It'll be in the rule book beginning in January. No specifics yet, but there will be limited bathroom breaks. And when we're reading about this, you can see that Tsitsipas is all over the place.
Of course.
We talked about why it's not good to be a snitch or a little kid that abuses rules because everyone else has to suffer because of it. This is another thing that's an example of things in life. Another example in tennis is when Isner and Mahut, played for 3 days and it went 70-68 in the 5th or something, spanning 3 days. And then we had a tiebreaker. Now that's what you call an accidental. That's an accidental change of the rules. But when there's a rule change because someone abuses something, you call that a little child who's doing that. Let's take an example of me per se. I was a service manager for Ford Motor Company for a while. And I would have service advisors that worked for me. They'd sit at stations and cars would pull in and they would go greet them and, take their car and put them in a rental or whatever. But sometimes this one person would always leave and go to the bathroom and be gone. I think they were a cigarette smoker or something. And they would leave like every 20 minutes and go to the bathroom and they'd be gone for like an hour or maybe not that long, but 20 minutes, come back and then leave again for like 20 minutes. And all the other advisors would always say, man, it was causing a morale issue. And I never had a bathroom or leave your station policy ever. But because this one worker came in relatively new and worked in a position, I won't say who, some of these people worked with me then, but he or she made me create a policy and have my advisors sign it saying, hey, if you leave your station for longer than X amount of time, you get a warning. And 2, I can terminate you if I want to. And this is the type of thing that Tsitsipas did. Tsitsipas was the person abusing the ability to go to the bathroom, which is an adult thing. Do I have to raise my hand in college to go take a piss? No, I get up and I go take a piss. I don't say, hey, Mr. Professor, down there, an auditorium, hey, can I go take a piss? He'd be like, everybody would look at you like you were stupid because you're an adult.
Teacher.
Okay. But Tsitsipas just never grew up. Sissy. How do you say his name? Sissy bitch. What is his name? Sissy? What's his name?
I don't know.
Anyway, sorry, Kevin and Jackie Gunn. I know you love him. But I'm just saying they should call it the Tsitsipas rule. So when you open up the friended court book and it goes to bathroom breaks, they should just call it the sissy rule. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now all the adults that didn't abuse it, now they have to raise their hand to take a piss. Thank you very much, Mr. Tsitsipas.
Yeah, they're going to make a rule. It said, ATP said they're going to change the bathroom and on-court medical timeout rule, hopefully before next season.
Good knowledge drop, Mike. Mike says the ITF makes rules for majors for both men and women. By the way, I was chatting with someone yesterday, personally, Wayne Chia, who's in Singapore, because he had the idea for the Throwback Thursday show yesterday. Mm-hmm. And I was sending him a message. I was like, because I told him I was going to do it for him. And so I sent him a message, hey, did you like it? It was probably rusty. And he was like, no, not rusty at all. I'm sure older guys like myself and Mike Walker, he said Mike, but pertaining to him, enjoyed it. So yeah, it's funny how we're still kind of part of one another. And I think I sent Mike a text earlier this morning, I think.
Michael Walker says Tsitsipas being blamed, but I don't think he was the only one doing it. No, there's quite a few. But he kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it while they finally said enough.
He did it.
And people complained about it.
Yeah, too, so. He elected to do it on the biggest stage with everyone watching it on television.
Has anyone seen the Murray? If you have Prime, Amazon Prime Video, there's a show on Murray's injury. Like, you know, it's him talking about his injury, everything he has to go through, his coaches, his physio, all the people, you know, all the phone calls he's made, you know, his ups and downs and his tennis career. You guys should watch it. It's pretty good. I couldn't finish it, but it's pretty good. It made me think of you, of all the injuries you've been through, and to watch him struggle and not know whether he's going to play tennis at a young age of 29. I didn't realize that when his hip was bad, he was 29 and number 1 in the world. I didn't realize that he was number 1 in the world at that point, and he was struggling with it. And he played Sam Querrey at Wimbledon and lost to him, but you could tell that his hip was bothering him already. Yeah,
I always found it hard to be an Andy Murray fan. You know this. I'm not too much of a fan of any man that has 2 hands on the racket on the backhand side. I'm a one-hand guy. Either way, it doesn't make a huge deal. But Andy Murray, I just really had a tough time liking until he started dealing with his hip. When I blew out my knee, I was playing Carla match, and there was people watching, and I got wrapped up into it. And there was a shot that I should not have jumped up and went for. I was running really fast. I knew I shouldn't have done it, but I was trying to show out in a way. You know, I was just trying to show off. And I got really high up in the air. I've always had a pretty good vertical leap. I'm 6'1" and can dunk a basketball. So my vertical jump has been pretty good. There used to be a viewer, Stefan Nizovic, and I would always joke with him because he was a basketball player that I'll come dunk on you. Yeah. And he didn't believe me. Right. But the ability for me to land those jumps now is very difficult. But one day I was playing Carla. I went up for an overhead on the run, headed towards the net. I came down sideways and my leg snapped in half. So completely ruptured my femur from my tibia and fibula, and blew out my patellar tendon at the same time. So my leg was unhooked from my mind and my body. So for 9 days, I had to go through extreme imaging and finding out exactly where they needed to go and repair, and then went through a very long, brutally painful surgery. I had to recover in the hospital for 3 days, and I had to bite on towels because the pain was so bad. The pain medication didn't even work. And it took me about 18 months to get my quad muscle back in my right leg. And you know what professional athlete, tennis player that had this injury happen to them? You know who?
Yeah, Bethany Maddox.
Bethany Maddox Sands had the same type injury. And she was out of the game 2 years and is just starting to come back. And she has the best physios, trainers, obviously. And I did it with you. Her and I recovered from that together.
Yeah. As far as Michael Walker says, Tsitsipas got blamed because Andy Murray was bitter, never shut up. I'm glad that
good point. That's a good point.
But I'm glad that he spoke up and used his interview to speak up about it, because I think people need to speak about it. You know, there's nothing wrong with speaking up. Last night I spoke up and this asshole next to me tried to be a dick, you know, but I don't feel bad for speaking up. You have to speak up. You can't let people put you down. You can't let people step over you. And that's exactly what Tsitsipas was doing. He was taking advantage of a situation.
He was being a kid.
And I'm glad that he spoke up. Good for him. If more people speak up, less shit happens in the world.
Okay. Now I can see that 3 different ways. Let's talk about which way is the right way. Number one, Tsitsipas was just being an immature kid, period. Okay. He needed a spanking, right? He needed a little pap on the little sissy booty. But let's look a little bit further at this. Michael Walker said a very amazing comment, though. Didn't Michael Walker say got the blame because Andy Murray was bitter? You know, one thing that because of where I've been in life, lost freedom. I won't go into that again. But is Andy Murray being a snitch? Is he a snitch? So I don't like snitches. Is he a snitch?
We all saw it on live TV. We all saw it. Many times he did it. It's about time that someone said something. You have to say things, you know?
Okay, but do you think he was just kind of crying because he lost like he always did? Hence one of the reasons he always cried.
But he said in his interview, I don't think it was going to make a difference. He said, well, probably would have made a difference.
But
he did get cold.
Would a good sportsman make those type of accusations?
No, I would have just beat his ass behind the locker room.
If
Roddick would have.
If that was a second round match or it was a first round match, wasn't it?
Round match.
Okay, that metaphor won't work. But let's say that first round match, then he was playing. Name somebody off the wall.
Well, Zverev spoke up about it too in the tournament before that.
Forget about that. Let's say he was playing Fabrice Santoro. I know he's retired, but just a player that's has no shot, just your run of the mill player. And Tsitsipas has the background or the bathroom break. Then is he still getting the Tsitsipas rule now? Is it just because it was Murray? Is it just because Murray snitched potentially, or would it have mattered?
I don't know. We don't know.
That's a great question.
It's in that situation. It happened, right? It happened. He spoke up about it. Sure, he bitched about it. He didn't like it. I'm glad that he kept going and kept going and kept going. Sometimes you got to keep going to make noise. Isn't that what riots are about? Isn't that what, when you go up there and what are they, not a strike. What do you go up there? You rally, when you want people to know how you feel.
Oh, to protest?
Yeah. He protested on his interview. Nothing wrong with that.
Okay, I do agree. He spoke up.
Just like Thiem when he cried about Serena, taking over his time. They were kicking him out. He spoke about it. There's nothing wrong with that. You're an athlete. You should be able to do that.
Now, Carlo was talking about a time where, and I think it was the U.S. Open. Thiem was in a press conference and he had to hurry up with questions because Serena was coming in, and Thiem told the journalist, hey, this is bullshit. Why do I got to get up and leave? She's not the queen or something like that. And it blew up into a big deal. That was a bitch moment. That was a snitch moment, dude. It didn't even matter. She's a lady at that. Where I come from, if a lady enters the room, you stand up anyway. I do that here at home with my own wife, and we have 5 children. If my daughter Liliana is standing, or if Gabriella, my 9-year-old daughter, is standing, or Carla is standing, I will not sit down at the dinner table, even when there's no company. I'll stand there until they all sit. I won't touch the food until everyone has eaten it, and myself last, even if I cooked like I did yesterday. Let's go. But there has to be respect, I think. And that's another reason, and I'll get into that maybe later on, but there's not a lot of respect for women that I think should be there on all levels. And unfortunately, this isn't an etiquette class, but Thiem lost all sense of etiquette there.
No, but he made up for it because they were planning on playing together.
Yeah.
So he made up for it. Fans 2497 say expressing your grievances isn't bitter. On the other hand, one could say if you don't snitch, you're a pushover. True.
Good point. There was a saying that I got to know really well growing up, and especially 20 years ago: snitches or bitches. You ever heard that one?
It depends. I think the rule, it depends. If you're seeing someone getting robbed in something and the police officer asks you, what did you see? I'm going to say it.
There's so many axioms or stanzas pertaining to snitches being bitches, or no one likes a snitch, or never snitch on anyone because it'll come back and bite you, that type of thing. I've never heard of anything in terms of a statement that goes back hundreds of years in some type of Latin or whatever that associates it's a good thing to snitch. So if you don't snitch, you're a pushover. Well, if you snitch on someone for cheating on your wife, you may not be a pushover, but you may get shot. Do you understand what I'm saying?
It's yeah.
You have to be careful what you snitch on, if anything. So the best thing for me to do, I love the statement, ignorance is bliss. I don't want to know anybody's business. If something goes down, I don't want to know about it. I don't want to see it because I'm not going to tell on anybody, no matter what, as long as
just go like this. I didn't see it.
As long as,
I didn't see it.
The only thing that you would see me telling on someone on, some old lady was hurt, or someone got injured, or something worse. I wouldn't even go there, deceased, or the horrible things that happen to young ladies these days. I'll keep it at that. Yeah, of course. But, if someone takes a pack of gum in a Walmart, someone abuses the bathroom break, man, I'm not even worried about it because you're just bitching. You're being a snitch bitch. That's it. So I give a thumbs down to Tsitsipas for taking the break like a little kid. I give a thumbs down to Murray for whining like a little snitch bitch. And I also give a thumbs down to the ATP in a way of making this rule change in a way, because there's a lot of people that do use this as a strategy, but they just don't go out for 8 minutes and completely make the athlete cold. They go to the bathroom, wash their face, breathe a little bit, and come back out in a couple of minutes, But Tsitsipas goes for 8 minutes. And that's enough to change the dynamics of a match, because some people can last longer before their muscles get cold and some people can't. And you can't expect someone on the sideline to ride an exercise bike. Now, they could do that. In the NFL, when the offense comes off the field, the defense goes on, whatever, special teams, then they have exercise bikes on the side. So maybe they could throw an exercise bike on the side. I don't know. I don't like any of it. It stinks. And by the way, Michael Walker, the Giants lost last night. They should have won that. The nose tackle on the field goal jumped off sides, and the guy missed the field goal. So the Giants should have won it, but homeboy jumped off sides, and the Redskins kicker won the game.
I wonder if they kicked his ass for doing that.
They probably did.
William, you're gonna get in trouble.
What?
He said, "Congrats to Taylor on having her baby after her 72nd month pregnancy."
There you go.
Terrible.
She does a good.
He said, "I know I'm going to hell."
She does a good job.
We got childbearing hips, and now we got the 72-month pregnancy. Oh my God. Terrible. You can't be serious with these guys. And then we got Andy Murray being a crybaby.
Oh, too
And
bad.
Sissy Potts being a little baby boy.
And they're all and you notice all these crybaby slash two guys, or all these two guys we're talking about, they've always been little bratty players. They always have been, the both of them. You know, Andy Murray was always a bratty little player. He'd whine a lot and cry and get all so bent out of shape and just look like it was a bad day. I just don't know. I can't tolerate him going.
And, you know, he's such a strong guy. Physically, he's such a strong, fit guy. You know, I watched this whole thing, this show that he had. It's such a strong guy. You wonder if his wife, who seems very chill, I go, "It's okay, baby." She has to, like, you know, make sure he's okay.
I wonder how he talks to his wife after, like, the Sisty Pos thing. Let me see. Let's see if I can pull this one off. I just don't know. I've got my head and I can't take it anymore. I have to voice my opinion or I'm going to freak out. I can't. It's just not fair for me to have to go through this. Can you bring me some coffee? I really need it. Anyway.
Oh my God.
Bad look.
Michael Walker says, "I had a family member ask me, do I think their husband's gay?" I said, "It's not my job to define your husband. You need to talk to your husband."
Who said that?
I wasn't getting in grown folks' business.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I've had a few share terrible British accent. Still hilarious though, they said. Jack Nolte says you need a Scottish accent and it'd be perfect.
Yeah.
You know, I've been in situations before where I've seen things and, you know, I've been asked if I've seen certain things, you know, and sometimes if you're my very, very good friend, I will tell you. But if I don't like you or
What do you mean? How do you explain? Like, what are you referring to if you see certain things?
Cheating and stuff like that.
Oh, so the question was, would you, if you had a really close friend, now how close would the friend be? So look, if I just know of someone and I've met them a couple times and I find out, say at a restaurant, I see someone cheating, I would definitely not say something because that person will kill you. Mm-hmm. Now, if it was, I wouldn't do it though. I still wouldn't do it. I was going to say maybe there's an exception.
What about if you got hit on by your best friend's man?
I don't have a best friend really.
See, I was in that situation and I had to tell my best friend, this guy was trying and even told me in my face, and I had to tell her because I don't want to be involved in any type of.
So how did that work out?
He's like, she's lying.
So what happened in the first place?
She broke up with him.
No, but how did it happen? So you had a best friend that had a boyfriend.
Oh, like a husband. Almost like a husband. They lived together. And
the best friend wasn't around, and the husband. It wasn't a husband, but there was like it.
He was like our family friend, and I was married at the time, and he came. Oh. And yeah, I was married with kids. Came up to me and like, you know her actually. And
okay, I know who you're talking about.
Glenda, and she. You know, I had to tell her because he's like, you know, you're the type of woman I want to be with. I had to share that with her because I felt like if I didn't say something, that would be hiding something really dark. Even though I have nothing to do with it.
And I think
so. I did have to snitch.
And I know I get who you are talking about, and I get why you did it, because ultimately, if you don't say something about that, and somehow it gets back that you told someone something and you didn't tell them, then they hate you.
Exactly.
So yeah, I guess that's a little bit different.
There are situations where you have to say it. if I don't know you, then,
Oh, and I love this comment here. And we were going to talk about this and I missed it. Jesus Cruz Cabas, is that right? Says this. He says, and among all this, Jeannie Bouchard, referring to Novak, is a crybaby. This was something that was almost infuriating to me. Jeannie Bouchard was playing some type of show where she was answering questions, kind of like our rapid fire questions. By the way, we were doing that 3 years ago, so I didn't copy that, but I almost felt like they were copying us. But she was being asked a bunch of questions or shown pictures. I think it was pictures. Yes, she was being shown pictures. She had to say the first word that came to her mind. So they'd show a picture of a football, and she would be like intense. So they whipped up a picture of Novak Djokovic, and her immediate word was crybaby. And this was long before the U.S. Open, by the way. And if she would have said that afterwards, that would have made her even more naive. What are your thoughts on Eugenie Bouchard? Didn't Eugenie Bouchard, who was it that hit their head at the U.S. Open?
Her,
she sued the U.S. Open.
USTA.
You sued the USTA. Didn't she win that suit? Do you remember what I'm talking about? I think Eugenie Bouchard slipped and fell or something. And the U.S. Open warm-up room or the warm-up facility, she fell. And ended up suing the USTA and won the suit. Yeah, talk about just a conniving little witch. Yeah. The one that is known to be kind of bimbo-ish, and on some platforms it's more like even way worse than that, because she used to take pictures with older men and stuff, showing her butt. We were talking about that earlier. Women that are with guys that are 20 years older. She's been known for some of that as well.
Yes.
And then to put her on the Tennis Channel, and then to have her call Novak Djokovic crybaby,
I'm surprised that his wife didn't go.
I'm surprised Elena didn't go off. And
like,
since that, you haven't seen Eugenie Bouchard on the Tennis Channel. I think they may have gave her an opportunity, and she definitely failed that one. If I see her on there again, I'll be shocked.
What's not nice, or John? Justin, that's not nice. What's not nice? I don't know which comment he's referring to.
Who?
Michael Walker said Jeannie Bouchard did sue. U.S. Open won. Zest for Life says, at least Murray has proven himself. Tsitsipas may never win a slam or reach number one. True.
Yeah, and then that's a good comment too. Why? Because if Murray with the surgical hip can push you to the very brink of defeat, even had a match point, I think, in there.
Yeah.
And test you that far in the first round.
Yeah.
That should have been an easy win for Tsitsipas, and he had to use a bathroom break. In other words, in some echelons of the game, some would say he had to cheat to get that match. Some would say.
Well, but what's his name? Patrick said it. It was a strategy. It's a strategy he uses to compose himself again. To think about it. Derek says Bouchard can still get back to the top 10. She has talent.
That's funny.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. And look, you don't even have to bet me anything. If that happens, I'll send you $100. Just look, that's how confident I am. And if not, I'll happily give $100 away if that happens. Write that down. Who is that? Derek Edwardson? He'll remember that and let us know. Yeah, Eugenie Bouchard makes I think Bernard Tomic would have a better shot of making the top 10 again than Eugenie Bouchard. Okay, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Let's see. Derek Edwardson. No. K and then Yelena doesn't stand up for Djokovic. Called him stubborn when he got Sportsman of the Year in her interview.
Well, like Carla. Okay, I don't know anything about that. I didn't hear that. Sometimes that Carla and I are very competitive, and we know each other very well. Carla and I can get in little squabbles, and we're smiling 5 seconds later. If we're kind of like the Jeffersons in a way. We yap at each other, here and there and blah, blah, blah. And that's just part of what we do. So there may have been some misreading into that. I have a hard time believing she would slander her husband. Yeah. Maybe a translation issue. Hard time. There's a lot of Serbian viewers out there. Maybe they can respond to that one. I would find that hard to believe, but maybe so. I don't know.
Michael Walker says Tsitsipas is 23. How old was Murray when he won his first major?
Great question. I don't know.
Maybe you guys can find out.
His first was the U.S. Open, right? And then followed by 2 Wimbledons? No, 1 Wimbledon, a U.S. Open, then another Wimbledon.
William Spencer says the only time I'll side with Kyrgios and Bouchard on social media is with the Nole bashing. P.S. It's nice and warm down in hell.
Who?
It's nice and warm down in hell. William Spencer, you're gonna get a lot of hate email like I do.
It's all right. It happens. It's all in good fun though.
Yeah, I agree with Michael Walker. There's too much talent in women's tennis for Jeannie to come back.
Exactly. It's too deep.
I agree.
Too deep.
I don't see her coming
Yeah,
back.
we talked about the top 10 yesterday on Throwback Thursday. Now and versus 20 years ago, the top 10 is heavy. It's loaded, and there's more on the way in.
Yeah,
there's a lot more on the way in.
girls.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Serena, who's worked hard for it to even win a slam, and her to come back like that.
Yeah.
I don't think
I mean,
so.
you would have to say that, she could easily beat Serena these days to do it. And she doesn't have it. There's no way. She would have to really do a lot of work. But even the mental aspect, when I hear her, I don't find her very intelligent. I mean, I don't find her dumb by any way, shape, or form, but I just don't find her very articulate with her words, her word choices. The best tennis players generally, tennis is very difficult and strategic. The best tennis players are generally very laser, smart, focused. And I just don't feel that when I'm around Eugenie, and not that I have been, but when I'm listening to her, I don't feel impressed by the way she presents whatever she's saying. And generally the best in the world are able to do that.
Yeah. Did anybody see the WTA finals move to Mexico?
Did not.
Yeah. And
where was it going to be? China?
They had to move it because there's no tournaments in China.
But I think the women's was in Shanghai or something? Wasn't it in China?
They canceled all the Asian tour.
Guys, and I want to ask you guys a question, and I hate to bring this up, but I follow world events and world news. We had this coronavirus thing that transpired. There's a lot of stuff happening in the South China Sea, Taiwan, that a lot of people aren't talking about. Don't forget that it was a blame on China for the beginning of this entire pandemic in the first place. The military has been pulled out of the Middle East and is shifting to the Pacific. Keep your eyes in that area of the world. You won't hear much about it until something happens, but there's a lot of tension in that area of the world. So it doesn't surprise me that this international tournament was pulled out of China, if I'm correct, if it was there. If not, surely it has to do with other tournaments that have been planned there.
All of them got canceled. The whole Asian tour.
Yeah, and Australia just signed a nuclear submarine agreement with the United States and with Great Britain. And those two countries have never shared those type of nuclear type technologies with anyone else, not even Australia. And they have agreed to do so because of China's posture just to their north. Anyway, won't get into that, but that could happen in our lifetime.
William Spencer said, Jeannie reminds me of an adult version of a 13-year-old girl on TikTok when she speaks.
Beautiful comment. William Spencer is on fire today.
You're going to hell.
Let's go, William Spencer. I love it. Well, he's hitting hard in your face today. Ding, ding. Come on.
The devil horns for him.
Love it, William. And look, his comments are great. He's not pushing the envelope. He's just telling it like it is. I love it. Great job.
But anyways, I read where Barty's coach was against it. He said unknown condition, and they've never played in that country. So I don't know if she's going to play it.
Who?
Barty.
Oh, the end of the world or the end of the year finals?
Yes.
Does anyone find the end of the year finals similar to not an exhibition, but maybe something like the Laver Cup in a way, but a little bit more important that involves points? Do you get really, really interested in the end of the year?
I know. No.
I don't know. Did we even do a show about it last year? Did we even do shows about it?
No, there wasn't any.
Oh, they didn't have it.
Yeah.
So I want to poll question. Can you poll question this? Do you guys 100% like the ATP and WTA finals at the end of the year? And I guess leave it at that. But those are some tournaments, namely the Laver Cup and the ATP finals. It's been such a long year. Players are already rehabbing, already going on vacation, or their minds are already ready to go on vacation. The Australian Open's coming up, in the not too distant future. That's why you see a lot of these people win this thing that maybe haven't won a major before. Who are some players that won? Who are some players that won an ATP finals or a WTA finals but never won a major? Can you name any?
Jack Sock.
Did Jack Sock win the ATP final though? I know he got into it, but I don't think he won it. And he only got into that ATP final. Zverev. Did Tsitsipas win an ATP final?
No.
Jack Sock, by the way, only got into that ATP finals because he won a Paris Masters 1000, correct me if I'm wrong, at the end of the year after the US Open, and it allotted him to get in there.
Dimitrov, that's for life.
Dimitrov, there you go. So
Salavina.
That's another great one.
Michael Walker says, do you think now that Novak has lost in straight sets to Medvedev, If it happens again, does he and Nadal get mentally scared like Serena and majors?
It's a great question.
I don't know.
That's a great question.
Don't know.
It's a great question.
But now their head-to-head is 5-4. Very close.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
Look, after the U.S. Open, anything can happen. There was a lot of, you can't say choke there, but a lot of nerves wrapped up in that, a lot of burnout. The Olympics, in my opinion.
Yeah, you could see it in his eyes.
I think the
Looking back at it,
going through the Olympics was the worst thing that Djokovic should have done. You know, he goes to the Olympics with all these expectations. Not only is it a personal expectation at this point, but it's for his country. Didn't win it, and then goes through the bronze medal match. Didn't win that one. And he had dropped out of the doubles to finish the singles, and his partner didn't get to medal because of it. So I'm sure he felt really kind of bad about making that decision in the first place, rolled it into the U.S. Open, struggled on a lot of his matches. You know, I know I was saying rope-a-dope and giving up sets, but he had a rough go, but he's going to have a few months off. If Novak Djokovic played the ATP finals at the end of the year, for me, I would think that would be another dumb decision. You know, I think he should step away from it entirely. Recoup, hang out with his younger children, the wife, go back to Serbia, chill out amongst friends, family, compatriots, teach a little kids clinic, you know, in the streets like he does, stay positive, and then ramp back up for the Australian Open, like December or something. But I would say don't play it. I wouldn't play Indian Wells if I was Djokovic. If you were Djokovic, would you play Indian Wells? No. If you were Djokovic, would you play the ATP Master or the ATP final at the end of the year, knowing that you have 20 majors and your only thing left that you got to do is get that Australian Open in January, and you are the hands down GOAT on paper? Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't risk a nagging injury over something that's really insignificant. Follow me?
Yep, I'm following.
A couple things before we wrap up today. I had a couple things that I missed yesterday on Throwback Thursday. I had a sheet tucked behind my notebook. Yesterday, we were comparing things from 20 years ago until today, so 2021 to 2001, and I had two more things that I missed, so very sorry. One of the things that I compared from 2001 to now is the average cost of a home to buy a house, right? Carla and I, we've worked our asses off for a lot of years, and we still can't quite put together a way to get our own home, right? Hence why we rent and have to deal with this shit over here. But the average cost of a home in 2001, a median household, was about $120,000. So your average middle-class person could find something affordable in that range to live in, okay? The average house price median right now, middle class here in the United States, no matter where, you know, this is the median, is $269,000. So $270,000. It's more than doubled. Okay. There's more people in the world today. They're piling in from all over the place, and the cost of houses is kind of respective of that. You know, it's crazy that we talked about yesterday, the prices of new cars these days for just a run-of-the-mill car, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000. The prices of houses have increased substantially to the point where people can't really buy them, but yet the market shoots through the roof. We call this a bubble, right? I won't get into economics here, but, you know, it's like a housing bubble 2.0. We went through this in 2008? It'll happen again, but and the thing is at $269,000, these houses are getting financed by banks, right? And some of these people, that's way too much out of their budget, paying $1,000 or $1,200 a month in a mortgage, and then they have to pay homeowners insurance on top of that.
269, you couldn't buy a house in Miami. My mom's home is like, both of the houses that she has are way more than that.
Yeah, $269.
One of her houses like worth $600,000-$700,000.
$269,000 here in the U.S. is like a middle class house in West Mobile, which is a suburb. You know, nothing fancy. You know, a house. You know, these 2-story house, brick houses in a decent neighborhood. You know, and somewhere like San Francisco, you're talking about tens of millions of dollars. New York City, ask Mike Walker, tens of millions of dollars. So anyway, the world's getting tougher. And this is a prime example of it. Okay. No one's getting richer except a very few at the Met Gala. The last thing I'm going to compare, and then we're going to wrap it up. This is another thing I did research on. You know how I am on education. I have one rule in my house for all my kids. Don't bring me home a B. If you bring me home a B, we will do nothing but go to the court every day. You won't do anything, and you'll come back home and study. And we'll do that until you get that grade up to an A. It happened to my oldest son, Jonathan, when he was a junior in high school, and now he's at the United States Air Force Academy, major university. he's there, but there was a time where he brought home a B, and it happened on his final report card. I never got on my phone, but I took the Xbox away because I let him play that. And he didn't play it the entire summer until he got the following report card the next fall. And that was in that class. I think it was Spanish 1, or I think it was Spanish. Anyway, he got like a B in Spanish 1, and then he had to wait for his next report card to get an A in Spanish 2 before I gave it back. But the average cost of college tuition, okay, the average cost, I graduated from University of South Alabama. So a 4-year university. I have a psychology degree. And my minor was sociology. It was meteorology first, and I changed it. The classes were getting a little tough there. Let's go. Anyway, but the average cost per year at a 4-year university, at a major university, is $16,000 a year in 2001. Okay. So do the math, $16,000 a year times 4, you're 45, 49 grand in student debt. That's what I had, right? Okay. In 2021, the average cost of a 4-year university is $30,000 a year. It's doubled. Okay. So I asked everybody again, we compared, we compared car prices. We compared home prices. We compared a lot of prices, right? It's so hard now for kids that don't get scholarships. It's so hard for kids now if they don't get great scores on their ACT, their SAT. It's hard for them to even get a consideration to get in because there's no space left, number one, and the prices are so high too. So most kids have to get financial aid. They do it. And now if you do the math, $30,000 a year times 4 years, most of the time it takes 5 years because someone goes in undecided. They take a bunch of classes they don't need. And then all of a sudden they end up with 5 years of student loans, which makes $150,000. And obviously they're going to have to get a new car to go to work, right? So they come out of college with $150,000 in student loans, and they just bought a $45,000 car, or better yet, a $60,000 car, because they're young and naive and don't understand how finance works. And the bank is going to get theirs, and you're going to get screwed in the ass. They don't know this very young. And they start their lives out being so deep in debt. Then they get married and they have a couple of kids. And then finally, when the credit runs out, the wife gets pissed off because she don't have any money. She wants a divorce because you're getting fat and she wants to head down the road. This is what happens. And it all starts from this. Okay. It all starts from being deep into debt, depressed, stressed out. So what are we going to do about it? World's yours, right? World's yours. If you're kids, what are you going to do about it? I advise you to get a used car. When I met Carla, what kind of car did I drive, Carla? And I was pretty successful. I was a full-time coach and was a service manager for Ford Motor Company. What kind of car was I driving?
I don't know. Subaru Forester?
Oh, a white 1999 Subaru Forester with like 200,000 miles on it and a manual transmission. And I drove it proudly. Why? Because it was paid off. Now we got married. I got you a new car and we just paid that off. Holy shit. We paid on this car for like 6 years, like $550 a month, and I just paid it off. Oh, gosh. Oh, let's go. All right. I've griped enough.
Yes. I'm hungry.
Much love, everyone. I mean that a lot. Thanks, Mike Walker, for everything as well. Thanks to all you. William Spencer, great comments as always. Really enjoyed that. I was thinking of, I saw something earlier that reminded me of a conversation we had. Anyway, that's why I sent you a message. But anyway, much love. By the way, my San Francisco 49ers play the Philadelphia Eagles this Sunday. I hope they win. If so, they'll be 2-0. But the quarterback of the Eagles is Jalen Hurts, who is from Alabama. And we like Jalen Hurts a lot. So I'm hoping he has a good game, but hopefully my 49ers win. Tom Brady at 44, who is saying he's going to play tennis until he is 50. Yes, 50 years old. Can he do it? Number one. But number two, the Bucks and 44-year-old Brady play the really awful Atlanta Falcons on Sunday. Number three, B-Dog02. When you watch this, B-Dog02, your Patriots play the damn Jets. Michael Walker, the Jets, man, damn. Anyway, but B-Dog02 is a Patriots fan. So B-Dog02, if your Jets beat your Patriots, you have to go rent the Adam Sandler movie Big Daddy, because he talks about those damn Jets the whole time with the old man in the bar. So if the Patriots lose, you must watch Big Daddy with Adam Sandler. Personal favorite movie, by the way. And I think that is it. Yeah, that's it, man.
Yeah.
Let's go. Don't forget to subscribe. $350 for the Australian Open. I'm putting the Babolat Pure or Aero Pro back up. So it's going to be a big Australian Open for sure. We'll see you soon, guys. Take care. Don't forget to sub. Peace.
Bye.